adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. Starring the jet-A Jerry O'Lace, Rocket J. Squirrel, and his pal, Bullwinkle the Moose.
Hi, glad to see you again.
Likewise.
We got some great things on the show today.
Like what? Like what?
Well, you ought to know, Bullwinkle. You're in some of them.
Well, let's get started.
In an effort to restore the King of Applesauce Lorraine to his rightful throne, Bullwinkle came to a sudden decision.
Let's go home.
We can't do that. We gotta save the country.
Along with Athos, who believed them to be his old musketeer comrades Aramis and Porthos,
That's Aramus.
they arrived at a castle belonging to the evil Francois Villain.
He's the only one who can tell us where the king is.
Alas, Villain not only knew where the king was, but what our heroes were up to, thanks to the traitorous actions of one Philippe Mignon.
Watch, Mignon. I know how to deal with the likes of them.
Moments later, the three musketeers were set upon by a murderous squad of Francois Villain's best swordsmen. All would have been lost had it not been for Bullwinkle's unorthodox but most effective ability at skewering shish kebab. In the end, our heroes emerged victorious.
Sacre bleu, Aramus, you are a master swordsman.
Wasting no time, they entered the castle only to find themselves suddenly trapped in a steel room with the walls closing in on them.
Small world, isn't it? And it's getting smaller all the time.
I wish I was in Dixie.
Closer and closer the walls came until...
Bullwinkle, do something.
Right, porthole.
What are you doing with a yo-yo at a time like this?
This is the way I always wanted to go. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Toby winged.
Oh, for gosh sake.
Oddly enough, it was the yo-yo that saved them, for just overhead, looking down through a metal trapdoor...
Why did you stop the presses?
Because, idiot, I have never seen a yo-yo.
Then how did you know it was a yo-yo?
Look at it. What else would you call a thing like that? Remarkable. How much do you want for this?
You can have it for nothing if you give us jobs as cooks.
The price is right.
But Francois, they are spies.
Well, hello there, Mr. Mignon. I haven't seen you since our secret meeting when you were plotting to overthrow his nastiness here.
So, you give to me the triple cross, no?
Francois, it is part of my job.
And this is part of mine. Take him away.
Thus, Philippe Mignon found himself behind bars while the three musketeers found themselves in the scullery preparing the evening meal.
What are we going to cook, Rock?
Francois' goose, I hope.
That should have been my line, Rock.
But there was no time to switch, for the plucky squirrel immediately set about the task of baking a huge cake.
Put these eggs in a bowl and beat it, Bullwinkle.
Right!
By the time Bullwinkle got back, the cake was completed.
Now, here's the plan. One of us will get inside the cake, and when it's on the table, he can overhear where Francois is hiding the king.
Well, seeing as how I always put my foot in it anyway, this time I'll put in the whole moose. Step aside.
The cake and the plan were carried out, but not to the banquet hall, but to cell number 13, where two convicts whiled away their sentence playing checkers.
It is your turn to move, Pierre.
So involved were they neglected to notice the cake. Eventually, it was returned to the scullery.
How did it go, Bullwinkle? Did you find out what happened to the king?
Yeah, he was jumped 3 times. Then the little guy with the red checkers, he...
It was obvious that the plan had gone awry. This time, Rocky himself set the cake directly in front of Francois.
What is this? Cake? In honor of Applesauce Day. We celebrated that last week.
Well, how about Lorraine Day?
She's never been here. Dennis was here, but not Lorraine. We eat the cake anyway.
For the hungry Francois grabbed a massive carving knife and prepared to cut the cake. Will our next episode be in 2 parts? Be with us next time for Just Desserts or Operator, We've Been Cut Off.
that jolly juggler, Bullwinkle.
Oh, dear.
3 at once. 1, 2,
And now here's a feature you're sure to like.
3.
Once upon a timepiece, there sat an ordinary fly. Now, this fly wasn't bothering anyone. He wasn't even trying to find out what time it was. But the timepiece happened to be a sundial that stood in a king's garden, and the king was averse to flies.
Gotcha!
The poor fly was imprisoned in a Leyden jar, and each day at sunset, the king would pay his captor a visit.
This'll teach you to sit on my sundial.
To the king's surprise, the fly spoke.
Let me go, O sire, and I will grant you a wish.
Gadzooks, it speaks.
Release me, and you can have anything.
Anything?
Well, I'm only a fly. Make it within reason.
Just then, the king's royal minister entered the room.
Your subjects are at it again, my liege. These signs were stuck in the moat.
Help stamp out kings. Down with highnesses. Who is responsible for this?
No one knows.
Obvious, Lousily. A group of radicals are upset with my tyrannical way of ruling.
I'll see if I can get their names, sire.
If only I could overhear those rascals when they're plotting.
You can.
I could if I were a fly.
Lo, the fly in the jar waved a wing, and the king was transformed.
I can fly! I can fly!
The fly in the jar was given his freedom, and the king quickly took off for the village square, which is where the village squares usually congregated.
The king is a fink.
Be careful. The walls have ears.
The walls didn't have ears, but they did have flies, one in particular with a crown on his head.
I still say the king is a fink.
The following day, the fink sail was brought to the castle in chains.
So you admit that you called me a fink?
Yeah, I do, but I don't understand how you found out.
By the end of the month, the radicals were filling the castle dungeons to capacity, all because the king was able to change himself into a fly and overhear the plots against him.
Congratulations, your highness. Your kingdom is completely under your iron hand.
Now, this particular king was loaded with bad characteristics, including avarice, or greed, if you prefer.
Tell me, minister, that kingdom across the river, is it larger or smaller than mine?
Larger, your wickedness.
Then I must have it.
So saying, he called upon the king who ruled the kingdom across the river.
Nice kingdom you've got here.
We like it.
I don't suppose you'd care to sell it.
No, I wouldn't.
How about a trade?
It was then that a lofty tower caught the evil king's eye.
What do you keep up there?
Just my daughter. She was locked in there by a witch about a month and a half ago.
Uh-huh. Her name wouldn't be Rapunzel, would it?
No, Betty.
How come you don't let her out?
She can only be freed by the man she'll marry and like that.
What else does a man get, besides her?
An autographed picture of Key Luke.
Anything else?
Just my kingdom.
That was all the wicked king needed to know. That night, when the moon was high in the sky, which is a good place for it, he set a ladder against the tower and started up.
Not only am I ruthless, but I happen to be unavoidably attractive.
It's true, he had a fatal fascination as far as princesses locked in towers were concerned.
She'll take one look at my handsome features, and we'll be wed tomorrow.
He was so enraptured with himself that he neglected to notice the ladder was far too short to reach the tower window. He not only reached the top rung, but took 2 more rung steps above it, which was the wrong thing to do any way you look at it.
I have it. I'll pole vault up.
Entering a copse of bamboo trees which grew in abundance near the river, he selected a supple sapling and readied himself.
This should be apple pie.
It was. He took off like a deer and launched himself upward. Up and up he soared directly into the tower window and out of the window on the other side.
I can't keep this up forever.
Suddenly, from a nearby rosebush came the familiar voice of the enchanted fly.
You know, I could sit here all night and watch you. You're funny.
Take care. I don't ridicule easily.
No offense, but couldn't you get up into the tower a lot easier if you changed into a fly?
Great gobs of goo. You're right.
An instant later, the king was a fly and quickly zoomed up into the tower. Once inside, he changed back to himself and cried to the princess.
Darling!
Sweetie!
The princess was anything but beautiful.
Gad, I wouldn't marry her for all the kingdoms in the world.
Once again, he became a fly, and off he darted over the river back to his castle. But in his haste, he decided to fly through the village. What's more, he took a shortcut through a tailor shop.
7. I killed 7 with 1 blow.
Yes, this was a gallant little tailor. And although it was the end of the king, it was the beginning of another tale. But, oh dear, we don't have any time for that now.
Hi there, culture and archery fans. Today's poem is The Arrow and the Song by Longfellow. I shot a arrow into the... Ooh, my, that smarts. Well, try again. Smaller bow. I shot the arrow into the air. It fell to earth. I know not... Oh! Boy, it's a dangerous poem. I shot a arrow into the... Oh, Faz. I chunked the arrow into the air. That's better. It fell to earth, I know not where. But when it...
You lose an arrow, Moose.
Why, yes. Did you find one?
What's it look like to you?
Looks like about 30 days. So if your feathered shaft should soar up high among the sparrows, you'll always know the final score. No hits, no runs, no arrows.
That's a pretty strange-looking painting, Bullwinkle.
I just paint what I see.
Well, what do you see?
This is what I see.
Hello again, Peabody and Sherman here, but not for long. We are just about to leave for Cambridge, England.
And what's the year, Mr. Peabody?
1686, Sherman, where we shall meet that eminent mathematician and experimental philosopher, the man who proved the law of gravity with the falling of a falling apple, Sir Isaac Newton. The Wayback Machine responded beautifully, depositing Sherman and me at the base of an English apple tree. Sure enough, there was Sir Isaac Newton.
I'm ruined. It's the end of everything for me.
Something wrong, Mr. Newton?
Yes, it's my theory on gravity. It won't work.
Of course it will. You simply take an apple from the tree, toss it into the air, and it will fall.
Would you care to wager?
By the tone of his voice, I knew he had attempted what I had just prescribed, but I insisted he try again.
Very well. I have the apple, correct?
Correct.
I toss it in the air thusly, correct?
Correct. And now it'll fall to the ground, correct?
Incorrect. Oh.
Strange as it sounds, the apple remained in midair.
But that's impossible. Whatever goes up must come down. Everybody knows that.
Quite. You know it, and I know it, but those ruddy apples don't seem to know it.
I assure you there is a plausible explanation for everything. Observe. Plucking the apple from the air, I neatly sliced it open to examine the interior. Just as I suspected. A rare species of fluttering fruit fly.
I'm afraid it's become quite clear that I shall never be able to prove the law of gravity with a falling apple if those apples won't fall.
May I suggest you simply find another source of apples?
I said, champion idea. Why didn't I think of it?
Going into town, we managed to locate the local fruit peddler.
1 apple, please.
Hey, how about a nice banana?
No, thank you. An apple, please.
Maybe you like a good marshmallow.
What have you got against apples?
Nothing, except I don't got no apples.
Well, why didn't you say so?
You didn't ask me.
All right, then give me a banana. I guess it'll fall as well as a blooming apple will.
Gosh, he can't do that. History will be all wrong if he proves the law of gravity with a banana.
Don't worry, Sherman. If he tosses the banana into the air from where he is standing, I am certain it will not come down.
I hereby prove that what goes up must come down by tossing this banana into the air. Oh, Jove, it didn't come down. Don't tell me I've proved there is no gravity.
No, Sir Isaac, only that monkeys like bananas.
Good heavens, it is a monkey.
Fate seemed to be working against Sir Isaac, and needless to say, he was becoming quite discouraged.
It's no use, gentlemen. There's simply no place else to find an apple.
You're mistaken, Sir Isaac. I am certain that you can obtain an apple right across the street.
The schoolhouse, of course. There's always an apple for the teacher in a schoolhouse.
Sir Isaac dashed into PS32 and explained his plight to the teacher, who, of course, was only too happy to give him her apple for such a worthy cause. With success in sight, Newton happily ran from the school, only to have misfortune overtake him once more. The apple rolled from his hand with such force that it rolled for 2 blocks and directly into the Cambridge Polo Grounds, where it was quite naturally mistaken for the ball by one of the players. The apple was driven through the goalposts for the winning point, I might add, hit a spectator squarely on the head, flew high into the air where it came to rest, of all places, on top of a very high flagpole.
That did it. This is one of those things you just can't fight.
Oh, one moment, sir. I feel that at last you can prove your law of gravity with no further ado.
Not with that apple, I can't. I could never climb way up there to get it.
You don't have to. Taking Sir Isaac, I quickly positioned him directly beneath that flagpole. Then a glance at my watch told me my timing was perfect.
But I don't understand. How can...
Hold perfectly still, sir. You will know in exactly 4 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, now. As usual, my calculations were absolutely accurate. On the nearby Tower of London, the sunset gun was fired. That slight vibration shook the apple from its perch, and it fell, hitting Sir Isaac so that he was certain to notice, so that at last he was able to prove his theory.
Boy, sometimes it's sure hard for famous people to get famous.
That's right, Chairman. Isaac Newton's brother Figby had his troubles before he became famous, too.
Isaac Newton's brother Figby? What's he famous for?
Oh, he invented a cookie.
Oh, Mr. Peabody, you don't mean...
I certainly do. Figby Newton was the inventor of the Fig Newton.
Let us waste no time in going back inside Francois Villain's castle, where last time, you'll recall, the 3 Musketeers, Athos, Rocky, and Bullwinkle, obtained positions as cooks.
Who's the cake for?
You, Bullwinkle.
But instead of the cake getting inside Bullwinkle, Bullwinkle got inside the cake.
Keep your ears open and maybe you'll hear where Francois hidden the king of applesauce Lorraine.
Keeping my ears open in here is going to be kind of difficult.
The huge cake was set upon the banquet table, but alas, the best-laid plans of moose and men often go astray.
Before I let slip where the king is, I will cut the cake.
It appeared as though Bullwinkle would reach a parting of the ways. Ah, but mooses, unlike most of us, are allergic to the insides of cakes. And...
Look at your suit, Mr. Villain.
Never mind the suit. You got whipped cream all over this diary in which I keep all my secrets.
Huh? Well, here, let me clean it up for you.
Moments later, in the castle basement...
Open it up, Portal. Perhaps it will tell us where the king is hidden.
But the only thing that would open the diary was a key which was around Villain's villainous throat.
Leave it to me. I'll get it.
Waiting his chance, Bullwinkle crept up behind the unsuspecting Francois and, taking a pair of scissors, snipped a cord behind his neck. But through a miscalculation, Bullwinkle had severed a pair of suspenders.
What is coming off here?
Your trousers, sir. But it's okay. It's time for your bath.
Leading the way to a door, Bullwinkle opened it, then stood to one side.
Watch out for the first step, Francis. It is a Lulu.
Don't call me Francis. The name is...
That first step was indeed a Lulu, for it ended 200 feet below in the moat.
You ignoramus, look what you have done. Now I will have to change my clothes.
Good. Give me the key to your diary and I'll dry it off for you.
Look, on the last page. Tomorrow I go to the king.
That is it. That is what we are looking for.
It was decided that Bullwinkle, being the least conspicuous of the 3, would follow Francois when he went to the king. But the route was a devious one. Over tall mountains, through hotel lobbies, until finally they came to a stop inside a large, dark building.
This must be where the king is.
Bullwinkle was 100% right, except that he was wrong. For the king, as it turned out, was the King Theater where Francois had gone to see a Chester Morris movie. When the lights came on during intermission, the inconspicuous Bullwinkle was stage center calling,
Yoo-hoo, king! Here, boy, here, boy!
Francois, being an inveterate movie fan, knew that that was not Chester Morris.
So, you have followed me. You are a spy.
Summoning the ushers, who were in reality Francois's henchmen, Bullwinkle was quickly taken captive and transported back to the castle in chains. Furious because he had missed the picture, Francois vented his rage by sentencing Bullwinkle to the guillotine.
Here now, you cut it out.
Not got it out. Cut it off.
The forlorn moose was placed in position and the blade of the guillotine was raised.
When I say 3, let it drop. 1, 2.
Just a second, Mr. Villain. You've got the wrong moose. I am the leader of the spy ring.
It made no difference to Francois who got it in the neck so long as somebody did. Seconds later, our little squirrel found himself in Bullwinkle's place.
Rocky, what's the matter with you? Have you lost your head?
We'll find out next time in Severed Relations or How to Get Ahead.
Well, I guess that about wraps up another Rocky show.
Certainly hope you enjoyed it. I did. I always say.
Bullwinkle, time for us to go.
Already? Okay, but first, here are some of the people who made this show impossible.
That's not all.
The fingers get tired. Oop! Got away from me again.
Well, see you next time. Ready, Bullwinkle?